Welcome everybody out to Game of the Month, number 1 for 2024, number 20 overall, I think. Anyway, today we're talking about LEGO Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, and joining me today we have the SMWiz and the RedMage to talk about it.
I'm excited. It's LEGO time. So let's go.
I find it hilarious, the legacy of the LEGO games, honestly. Like, the first one, like, there was a bunch of... I never played a LEGO game before the original LEGO Star Wars. Like, there was LEGO Racing on, like, N64 and PlayStation, a couple other LEGO games throughout history, but it was really LEGO Star Wars that brought it to mainstream, that's for sure, at least in my playing experience. I mean, other people will be like, dude, how dare you badmouth LEGO Racing like that?
Yeah.
But, like, played through LEGO Star Wars 1, LEGO Star Wars 2, and LEGO Star Wars Complete Saga a ton back in the day. And so I was actually at E3 2019 when they announced LEGO Star Wars Skywalker Saga. Or was it announced? I don't remember if they announced it in 2019 or not, but I got to see a behind closed doors demo of it at E3 2019, which was really cool. But
Yeah.
Didn't play it until this Game of the Month. I didn't get it at launch, so been
that's crazy.
been like a year since it came out, right? About year and a half.
A little bit more. I think it came out at the end of 2022, if I recall, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense.
I mean, it was supposed to come out longer, ago.
Oh,
but
actually, it
got
came
delayed
out-
because of pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It came out in
Okay.
April of 2022, actually.
April 2022.
I'm trying to remember explicitly which set it was. There was a Lego Star Wars, a physical Lego set that when you purchased it came with a code inside the box to redeem for like an exclusive unlock or something like that.
Oh, that's
but
fun.
But it had an expiry date that was really short. Like a lot of times those codes say they're good until like 2050. This one was only good till like the end of 2020 or something like that to force you to buy the Lego, and then the game didn't even come out on time.
Oh, that's brutal. That is brutal.
I'm sure most people that buy a LEGO kit like that, though, are really going for the LEGO kit anyway. So, that's
Typically,
good,
yeah.
at least. But
It's like when I bought my Halo action figures for Halo Infinite, and Halo Infinite got delayed a year later.
yeah,
It's
at
the
least
same
you have the action
story.
figures. It's something to play with still.
I don't even know where my chief figure is at the moment, honestly.
Better than a
like-
digital code for a game you just can't play, I guess.
Yeah, it's like I got my Jedi Starfighter up here. Chief was next to it, but I don't know where Chief is now, so
He's probably behind the bookshelf. That's how it is.
usually. But anyway, did either of you play this game at launch when it first came out, or did you pick it up for Game of the Month?
Not at launch, but not for Game of the Month. I played some of it on my Switch, actually, co-op with my wife. Maybe not quite launch, but in 2022 sometime.
Oh, actually, that's a good point. I did buy it on Switch Christmas 2022 for the kids, so they've played through it all. And I just completely forgot about that I bought it for them on Switch that Christmas.
Nice.
I never played it, and they were playing it on a Switch Lite, so I never really saw them play it either. So
I was just hidden away.
yeah,
It's
this
like
was
DS games.
yeah, it was a whole new experience for me diving in because they play on the Switch Lite. So it's like I really didn't see them beat it. So yeah, fun stuff.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Having played it on the Switch, this time I actually we started to continue it on the Switch, and then we just got it on the computer. And just started over because we were gonna start over anyway, and it was like might as well do it on the computer if we're gonna do that. And let me tell you, it was basically a whole new experience anyway.
Really?
The Switch is old, man. The Switch is like, I know it's like a tired talking point, but like,
No, I get it. I mean, you talk about hardware that was, finalized in 2015. But
yeah,
I mean, we're also talking about a Lego game. It's
Yeah.
not like we're running a super intense visual game. Like, it's just kind of surprising it would be so radically different.
no, I mean, it looked like a Lego game from the 360 on the Switch, which is fine, and I had a fine time playing it. The load time, so I'm gonna be honest, was the main difference though for me. I had it installed directly on the Switch's internal hard drive, SSD, whatever.
Yeah.
And even then, like, oh, wow. It took the same amount of time for the Switch version to load into the main menu as it would take my computer to load into the game and for me to like start playing the mission. Because I tested it once because I was so curious. I was like, am I crazy or is it actually this much faster? And it is. And like the graphics are nicer, obviously. It's much better not on the Switch, but it's not that big of a difference. It's the load times that made the life-changing difference.
Yeah, I can see that. Playing it on the Xbox, the load times they weren't terrible, but they weren't the best either.
I played it on the PS4 and it felt comparable to other Lego games.
Yeah.
Probably what your Xbox experience was. Not like obscene loading times, but not as quick as other games on the system.
Yeah, especially with the optimized SSD loading on some other titles I've been playing recently, so oh well. Not a big deal. But visually, it is a very nice looking Lego game. I mean, it's Lego.
Oh, yeah.
There's only so much you can really do with Lego, but they really upped the lighting game because I haven't really played a Lego game since Lego Star Wars 3. And so even that one was quite an improvement over Lego Star Wars 1 and 2, and then the complete saga on 360 and PC. And so, like, the lighting effects were fun. And, yeah, like, it's Lego. There's not much, again, you can really do with it, but you can make it look really nice, and I think they pulled it off. The environments were fun.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, like, the Legos themselves, it was interesting. You could, like, see the mold lines and, like, the reflections of it was really interesting. But what really sold the graphics was, like you said, the lighting and the environment. The environment was just a huge... it is a huge difference from previous Lego games.
Yeah. It's funny how it's like trying to be realistic at parts while still having Lego aesthetics to some of it too. So like it was just an interesting mix.
Yeah, I actually kind of struggled with the visuals a little bit in that regard. And maybe it's because I build so much Lego. ICE has seen my social media. I just annoy everyone posting pictures of what I'm building.
Nonsense, it's
But
not annoying.
there's like, and maybe it's because it was so bright a game, but just like there was a lot of like sheen that I wouldn't have expected off of Lego brick.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Um,
Not like that's a game breaker. It was just one of those things that when I first turned it on, it kind of like I was like, oh, this looks different than what I expected.
yeah, it's fair. I don't play a lot with Legos these days. John's really into it, and I help him when he gets stuck on certain things, but like I don't build sets for myself anymore. I haven't for a couple years. Not that I wouldn't like to. It's not a hobby I want to sink more money into, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's a bit of a money pit.
I just got the kids some Pokemon sets that were on clearance from Mega, so that's like the newest Lego experience that's entered this household. Lego.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The environment, some of them was like kind of weird, but looking back at like previous Lego games, I think the main reason that it stands out is now the environments are so realistic. So it's almost like there's Lego built on top of real worlds as opposed to Legos built on top of PS2 graphics.
Yeah.
Which in some ways feels more natural than the more realistic textures that this game has. So I can definitely see the jarringness of that, but I kind of like the way it looks.
Yeah. The appeal to it for me is like you're actually like a kid playing with your Lego set outside. Like you're reenacting these things outside and things like that. Like it's fun to visualize that aspect of it, but at the same time it's like why didn't they just make it all Lego? Like there's two sides in my head. It's like it should have just all been Lego versus hey, look, we're role playing Star Wars with our Lego kids outside. Type of a deal. So very interesting design choice.
That makes some things like Tatooine really tricky if you want to do the whole thing out of Lego.
Yeah.
Oh man, mass texture of Lego bumps on the sand. Like they could have done it.
Well, I mean, and how to do it though in a way that like looks really nice, right? Because if you're going through a desert and everything's shaped like little studs popping out of the ground, that's a little odd.
Yeah, it would be, yes, like,
Yeah.
agreed. But, I mean, at the
Take
same
the-
time, it could be something similar to Minecraft deserts, too. So, I don't know. Again, I think it's a cool art choice overall, personally.
Yeah, I think it looks good overall, but I mean, looks good, loads good if you're not on the Switch. Um, I look, I looked it up, and in some instances, there's almost like a 2-minute load time for the start of when you're first starting to load into a mission
Oh, yeah.
versus like
Oh, yeah.
like Xbox and PC, and that's. I think I legitimately played more of the video game because I played it on PC. It just was able to bear like the time I was given to play the video game. I was able to play more of it. So,
Reminds me of Morrowind on Xbox, original Xbox.
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Because it's just restarting itself with restarting the Xbox in the background a million times or whatever it does, and then it loads finally.
Oh,
That's
my
exactly what it
gosh.
was like on Switch. Genuinely, I think that's the best comp I've heard.
See,
It's how it felt
that-
playing this on Switch.
see,
Load it up
that's
one
what's
time
funny,
and done if you're
like-
dead.
Like, so again, not having played it on the Switch, having no idea what it's like, that's just
Mhm.
perplexing. Like, because, Breath of the Wild doesn't even have load times that bad. Why
Oh
is
yeah,
a
it's.
Lego game taxing the system so hard?
I mean, the optimization even on PC and Xbox seems to be mediocre. And I was looking into it, and apparently, even like on PS4 and PS5, it loads slower than Xbox. So I think a lot of it just comes down to the game is poorly optimized, and the Switch cannot handle things that aren't optimized well.
So what you're
Because like
saying
Doom
is
can run on there, but
it's a
you
common
have to work on it.
AAA game in the 2020s is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a common AAA game that's been released since 2019, 2018. Yes.
Yeah, you're like, look, optimization takes time, and time is money, and forget those gamer kids. Let them stare at
Yeah.
a loading screen.
Let's just be happy that it's
Screw
not
their
a cloud
storage
version.
space.
How about that?
Yeah. Oh,
So-
don't get me started on the storage space. This is game of the month discussion. We can't go on that tangent.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've
Remember-
talked enough
remember-
about load
like,
and looks.
Excuse me
Remember
for a
when
moment
you
while I
would
go
get
my
a
soapbox.
full game on a 16 megabyte cartridge and all that? Like, you optimized Resident Evil 2 to fit on a 64 megabyte cartridge on the N64 from a 1.1 gig PlayStation game and don't lose much of anything in the translation. The good old days.
Nintendo's the only company left that cares about data optimization.
And even they have screwed the pooch in some games. Not many. Like one or two. I can't
I'm
think
not
of them right
saying
now,
they're
though.
perfect. No one's perfect. But like when you look at like Breath of the Wild with base game 13 gigs, you're like, okay, that's impressive.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
How much was Tears of the Kingdom? I think it was like
I didn't actually look at that
$80.
one. I don't know.
I meant storage space. I got it on
Yeah,
a cart, so I don't know how much it was.
Because yeah, base at launch was like 13.3 or something on Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
In order to play Tears of the Kingdom, it's 16.3 gigs.
Yeah, see, even that, and they like
That's wild.
essentially
I mean,
doubled the
but
map.
Double the map.
There's like 2.5 times the game. That's crazy.
Oh, man.
That's witchcraft.
See, we need to bring back storage limitations, man. Developers have gone too
Skywalker
wild with
Saga.
infinite storage.
Times.
It's dumb.
40 gigs for Lego Skywalker Saga.
Yep.
And now you can argue that it's 3 games, but even then,
Yeah, even then.
No, it's not.
It's just obscene.
It's
compared to
not.
Tears of the
It doesn't
Kingdom
need
and
that
stuff.
much space.
It doesn't. So,
Oh my gosh.
But again, regardless of how it loads or the space that it takes up, how did you like playing it?
All right, so I'm very mixed on this game because I'm not the biggest fan of the Lego franchise. Like, I like the Lego Star Wars ones, but I don't really enjoy playing them after I initially beat them because it gets kind of samey. And so I really appreciated what this game did with its combat approach and combo system and things like that to kind of mix it up. And that was really cool to me, especially coming from Lego Star Wars Complete Saga and Lego Star Wars 3. It's like, wow, this is way more in depth. And so, like, characters have melee attacks, ranged attacks, and, like, it was a ton of fun. But I didn't like the way that the levels were structured a whole lot. It was very... It relied too heavily on its open world, that's the bottom line, but just trying to go from point A to point B, it's like, I'm spending more time walking through these open world segments and watching cutscenes than playing the actual levels in most regards, in most of the game. And so I finished prequel trilogy and OG trilogy and decided I didn't want to bother with the Skywalker trilogy, or the sequel trilogy rather. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But I think I've collected about like 360 of the Kyber bricks at this point. I 1,200 Kyber bricks is absolutely unacceptable.
No, that's fine. The target audience of this game is someone who gets a game for one game for a summer, or like one game a year. You play this. If I had this game as a kid, I'd be like 1,200. I'm gonna find every single one of these without using the hints. It'd be a great time.
Oh my god!
It's just not made for people who have things to do.
Yeah, these games don't respect your time anymore. And it's not that they ever respected your time great at the start, because like the original ones, you had things where it's like get 1,000,000 studs, and you're like, don't take a death though, because you're gonna lose half your studs, things like that. But like, yeah, the more recent entries like the Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, or even to some extent Force Awakens, like trying to switch to this like open world hub and having so many things to hunt down and unlock. Like, this is not a thing for like adults who have jobs. There's just too much. Like, and it's weird because like I'm trying to figure out if I'm just like a bitter, grumpy old man that I don't have the time to do this, or if this is like pointless fluff to justify a price point. And I go back and forth on it because there's like stuff where I'm like, I don't really feel like some of this adds value to the game. I feel like it just pads the runtime.
Yeah.
And Lego's already kind of done that in that you play through the story with fixed characters, and then you have to go back and replay the levels with the extra characters in free play mode because they put like can only be unlocked by Sith in a level that doesn't have any Sith present in it, stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
so like Lego from the start has already had a forced replay mechanic, but like these more recent ones are just kind of dialing that to level 11. It's a bit off-putting.
They took all the wrong inspiration from Donkey Kong 64 in that regard.
I think one thing to say is, there's 1,200, but if you don't also really have to get that many to really feel like you've had I think personally to feel like you've had a full experience in the game. Like, obviously there's a collectionist, like completionist in me that wants to get all of them.
Exactly.
But just like playing through and trying to get like true Jedi on all the levels, or like doing the challenges that aren't annoying, is just like going through the stories is definitely something that is still accessible, at least. Like 100% is silly in this game.
Yeah.
But 100% in Breath of the Wild is also kind of silly, right? 900 Koroks that are
not
kind
doing
of
that
pointless.
either.
That's why we have we have 100% asterisk where you don't go after Koroks because you're sane, and then we have 100% crazy people edition.
Yeah,
100%
exactly.
crazy
So it's
people that need golden poo.
Yeah, and like the benefit of also what's it called? The game Lego Skywalker is every single one of those has a hint that you can buy, and once you get one or two of those data cards and stack on some of those stud multipliers, and that's not that hard if you just don't spend too much of your money, and you don't really have to, especially since you just go through. I just did what's it called? the story mission through all of New Hope, and then story missioned the beginning of
Empire.
episode 7, Force Awakens, to get Rey and the Scavenger, so that I could do free play with all of the characters or whatever. And
Oh,
then
nice.
did one of the cheat codes to get Holiday Vader, so I had a Sith. It was perfect. Everything's set up. Just went and blasted through New Hope.
There
Had
you
a great
go.
time.
You were
It was,
doing a high strategy play of this, like not like
Yeah.
speed running it, but you're like, I'm gonna
No, yeah.
optimize the crap out of this game.
I guess that's what happens when you have been speedrunning on and off for what, like 12 years now. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of the side effect.
It's in the genes.
Yeah, it was just having a blast with it though. It was a great time because like I didn't care about getting all the challenges, but if I get the mini kits in True Jedi and finish the mission, then that's like 5 out of the 6 Kyber bricks for the missions. And that's the other thing is like what there's 5 in each of the 9 episodes, so that's 45. 45 times 5 is however much. What's that? My numlock's not on. Sorry.
I could mental math it. I just don't want to do. I just don't want to deal with it.
225 Kyber bricks dedicated entirely to all of that, and then if you do the challenges, you go all the way up to 270.
Yeah.
So, and I had some fun doing some of the ones on the overworld. There's too many, but on the other end, on like Tatooine, you go there in all the time.
Yeah.
Like
It's in
8
all 3 of
times
them.
through the story or something
Yeah,
crazy.
it's in all 3 of them.
Yeah, so it's worth having that much, and if you can, like I said, the completion is sometimes it's hard to not try to go after every single thing in the area, but at the same time, if you just save some of it, it's like, well, this is where the Lars Homestead is, and I'll be back here in the prequels with Anakin or whatever. So then save it for then, and then have another exploration time then.
Yeah.
So I think this game is about self-pacing more than it is Star Wars.
Yeah. And I mean, I might not be a fan of collectathons, and 1200 is just super astronomical for a lot of reasons, but like you said, you do find a lot of them if you actually spend just a little bit of time doing it. So I played it in co-op, alternating with each of my kids, and I would just be like trying to collect the Lego studs to get the money while they were just running around and grabbing stuff for me. Like I let them just totally go to town on it while I was just like, I'm just gonna gather some money here in the overworld, so that way we could get the cheat codes once we have the Kyber bricks for it, and get the stud multipliers and all that too. Because once you get those stud multipliers, it's just like the previous Lego games where it's like, okay, then all of a sudden it just avalanches into quicker once you start getting all that stuff. So I mean, I'm happy that DNA is still here, but I didn't get anywhere near as far into it as I was hoping I would. But man, like I don't think it's bad by any stretch of the imagination overall, but it's definitely, again, does not respect your time. So if you can play through it in co-op especially, I think that's really fun. I'm a little sad that the split screen isn't dynamic like it was in Lego Star Wars 3 though.
I agree. I was thinking that the whole time.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm on the left of you. I want to be on the left of. I guess it makes sense though, because then we were sitting on the same side of the screen. I wasn't crossing.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons. So
There is.
But I even just the option to have that, or the option to make it top and bottom, so I had the wide field of view instead of the super narrow field of view that
Halo 2'd it up.
Side to side co-op. Yeah.
I don't need vertical line of sight. I need horizontal line of sight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This isn't Doodle Jump.
Yeah.
This is wild because I actually didn't play co-op on this one. I invited my wife and she wasn't interested. So I didn't have that experience. That's wild. Because we played some Lego games previously, and you're right. It's sounding just based on that, like the previous games had better, split screen options, which is kind of wild to lose features or functionality as you move forward in a series.
Yeah.
Well,
in some ways it was.
Yeah, like it's not bad. That's the problem. Like it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just when you're so used to when it starts dynamically shifting and rotating based on where your character's moving and what you're doing and what your co-op partner's doing, like, you kind of get used to it. You kind of come to expect it. And I mean, they kept it in a lot of Lego games moving forward. And so it just being gone was just kind of weird to me. So
Yeah, the biggest benefit is it joining the camera too.
yeah,
But I wonder if the force separation is a side effect of the much greater distance you can take. Like on Coruscant, especially in the federal districts, you can be in just completely different parts of the city doing different things at the same time, which I thought was really cool. Like
yeah,
it's not like you can't be in different planets or in different like areas on the same planet, but you can be as far apart on the map as possible. And
yeah.
on not the Switch, it doesn't lag almost at all, noticeably, which was really cool. I mean, as a co-op experience, obviously a lot of it just comes from the fact that it is a co-op experience that isn't a bad time. So if it's most games that fit that category are going to be a baseline of fun if you play with somebody you enjoy.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
as a co-op game, regardless, it's just I think it's really fun, and I could see myself playing it solo and just kind of grinding it out on the side when I just have half an hour to spare or something.
Yeah, I think this one for me is going to be a purely co-op experience because I do want to finish it, the storylines with the kids one of these days. Um, sounds like a good Sunday activity. I don't know, but yeah, I don't think I'd play this one solo, to be honest. Like, I'm just not into it enough to want to play it solo. Whereas when I started playing, although that could change because when I started playing Lego Star Wars 3 with John, I got really hooked on it, and then I dove into that one solo, and I'm at like 95% completion in that game now. And I need to finish up the last couple things still.
I need to finish up that one. I only played that one about halfway through, but I don't know.
It's
It's
very
good.
grindy too.
Yeah,
It's like it's a Lego game or something.
I overall though had a great time. It's Lego. I mean, there's certain, I guess, also trying to come in without the expectation of from the previous Lego games. Like there's certain things that just aren't there. Like having played original trilogy and then the prequels and then the complete saga and then the complete saga again, like many times at this point. It was
Yeah.
weird just having certain levels that I'd come to expect not there, or like very different or glazed over or a cutscene.
A lot of the levels are really cliff noted, it feels like. That's kind of what I touched on earlier. It's like you go do this thing and it's like, okay, this is just a cutscene this time.
Yeah. Because I think it's 5 levels instead of 6, if I'm not mistaken, per episode.
And a
Which
lot of the times they're
is,
just a lot shorter.
yeah, that too. They're only 5, like 5 mini kits instead of 10 is a good indication of
Yeah.
they're much shorter levels in general.
Yeah, it
But
was interesting how some things were changed up, and I was, again, like I was trying to figure out as I played through this because I also didn't enjoy this one quite as much as I think I've enjoyed past games, and I was struggling to figure out if that's because I was playing solo instead of co-op, or if it's because I'm not like the target demographic or whatever. I was kind of struggling to articulate why it felt a little off, but like Ice touched on the change in combat and character mechanics, which was interesting. But also, I thought the kind of level up system or the unlocks you did, like that was kind of interesting, and also just like thrown in there without explanation. Just they tell you, hey, you need to go spend a point, and it's like, on what and why?
I mean, it's fair. It's definitely fair.
yeah, I think the biggest thing is this one doesn't have the universal
Hub.
appeal of the last ones. Like there's something timeless about the original of the original like 3 Lego Star Wars games. Even more so, like, and I also like Lego Star Wars 3 and Lego Lord of the Rings, and like some of those I enjoy to some degree. but there's just always something universal about the original Lego Star Wars games in a way that's really hard to follow up. And I think that instead of trying to do the same exact thing, they did something different. And obviously, not everything different's going to hit in a way, in something in a series like this, especially.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
as an evolution of the Lego Star Wars sort of idea, overall, I would say it's. I mean, like you said, it's not bad. I think it's good. It's definitely, on the whole, good. There's bad parts about it, but I mean, maybe biased because again, I've only been playing co-op with my wife, but it's just fun. It's fun to play through. Good time,
yeah,
even if there's flaws, which is what matters.
yeah. And I mean, flaws don't necessarily break a game into the point where it's not enjoyable, where it's not a good time, a good experience. It just depends
Exactly.
on the flaw. So some of the
Yeah.
mechanics might not be as fleshed out as they could have been. They might have 1,200 kyber bricks, but that doesn't make it unenjoyable. It doesn't ruin what's actually there. Now, again, going from point A to point B, just being a walking simulator and cutscene watcher, that isn't as ideal in a lot of instances. The shorter levels aren't as ideal, but as you start progressing through the chapters, like they do get longer in certain parts and a bit more challenging. I mean, it's a Lego game; it's not meant to be uber challenging to begin with, but I don't know. I think it strikes a good enough balance that I still really like it versus I still wish we had the levels from the older games instead with the new mechanics. Type of a argument that goes on in my head.
That's
So,
fair.
I
I
don't know.
think
I don't know.
overall, the open world I enjoyed enough to like it. I think it's cool how it made it so they were able to implement a lot more of the game. Like, uh, like in No Hope, the part with Ben Kenobi on the Death Star was all inside of the open world section of the Death Star, as opposed to being a level. And that, I mean, was kind of sad because there's certain things that aren't in a level, but at the same time, functionally, it was kind of the same as it being a little level.
Yeah.
Like it,
Yeah.
I played as three specific characters. I couldn't because like there was the part of the open world where you were still character locked inside of the story, because it was still like story in the open world, and like
Yes.
those segments I also really enjoyed because it was a mission that I didn't have to replay. Basically, that's all. This is the only difference. Is there
Yeah.
is no free play. If that's just the free play universe later, it's literally just like, oh, I'm Lando and C-3PO, and I'm walking to the thing, or I'm like I said, Ben Kenobi and C-3PO and R2, and I have to figure out how to get the tractor beam down, and then the next mission will start or whatever with
Yeah. Yeah.
with Han and them, and like I think that was one of the best parts of the open world is the implementation of what would otherwise just be cutscenes. I think that
Yeah.
helped mitigate what would otherwise probably be a large problem with how much is otherwise emitted from the levels.
Yeah. And that's a good point. That is a good point. I didn't explore the open worlds as much until after I finished the prequels and OG trilogy, so I still have more opinion to form on those because I'm just not a large fan of open world stuff personally. So
Yeah,
it is what
it's
it is.
open level, so
Yeah, yeah. There you go. There you go.
so now it's okay, right? No,
Yeah, there you go.
I
There you
mean
go.
that's
We'll
kind of what
change.
it is.
We'll
They're
change
just
the definition in our heads, and it'll all work out. You just got to
it'll
trick
be
it up in
fine.
here.
It's open. What was I don't even remember, but it's yeah. I mean, it's not barren, that's for sure.
No,
There
definitely
is, and
not.
it's also the fact that everything is already immediately marked on your mini map. There's no, oh, who do I have to talk to get these 1,000 kyber bricks that I don't get from just playing the levels? Oh, this guy has a little thing ahead of his head that says kyber brick, or oh, there's one on my map and it's in this box and I have to do something or whatever. It's all laid out immediately, which is really helpful.
Yeah, it's just, again, time consuming, so.
Oh, for sure. It takes a while. But it's also, I will say another devil advocate thing about it. It somehow takes a lot less time than it feels like it will, if that makes sense. Like we spent a good amount of time just kind of grinding the in the open world in between every level, which is why, because I finished the original trilogy and then the first two of the prequels and didn't start Revenge of the Sith. Just started, or yeah, Revenge of the Sith. Just started doing more free play stuff, and played a little bit of the sequels just to see what Kylo was like because I heard he was funny. His voice sound alike in this, by the way, is very funny. Does a good job. But
I'm still torn on actual voiced Lego games, man. Like, that's what made the original Lego Star Wars so funny for me, was that it was all completely, like,
Pantomime.
dependent on its sketches, but you didn't have voices. You just had little grunts or things like that. And so once Lego games started being voiced with Lego Lord of the Rings, like, that's when it was just like, wait, what? And
yeah, it's
the nice thing about this one is that you can turn off the voice work. And
it's weird.
I ended up doing that because it made the goofiness feel more appropriate for different scenes versus when it's voiced, because then it's like, okay, this is supposed to be Star Wars. Why is there a fish here? Or why is this thing happening here? Like, this doesn't really make a lot of sense when it's supposed to be like, when it's being seriously voice acted and all this other stuff. So it's like, I'm gonna turn that off real quick. And okay, that's funny.
I think that's why
funny
Kylo
now.
did especially good, because he leaned into the fact that there's a lot of physical comedy going along with the voices, whereas sometimes it's hard to take. Like, for example, Anakin and Obi-Wan super,
Oh
like,
my gosh.
take them in a joking manner because they're the voice actors from Clone Wars. So
Yes.
regardless of how joking they're trying to be,
Yes.
it's just them talking. That's who they are. So it just sounds funny.
And
Like, what?
having Clone Wars Anakin being the freaking Attack of the Clones Anakin is just so wrong in my head. Like,
It's bizarre.
I can't reconcile it. Like,
He does a great job.
I know he's not supposed to be that much older in Clone Wars because the Clone Wars last 3 years from when he's 19 to 22, but it's just the setting, like, the perception, his like we know that he gained an experience when he lost his arm to Count Dooku, and like having the voice for Clone Wars being after that point, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But having it be before that, like, it just, I can't.
Isn't there a flashback scene in Clone Wars of the wedding? Is it like, I feel like there's some scenes in Clone Wars that take place maybe like a month after episode 2. So I get that. I do get the dissonance, but I also think it's kind of funny just because it is like like you said, it's right there.
Yeah,
it
shouldn't matter, but like, it messed with my head so much.
That's fair.
But yeah, shout out to James Arnold Taylor's ObiWan Kenobi again, though. Like,
oh yeah,
he does a good Kenobi, man. I like his Kenobi.
Absolutely beautiful.
But yeah,
I mean,
they're both
great.
They're both great voice actors for Clone Wars. Like, I love the way they portrayed those characters in that show, and I do like the way they portray it here. It's just, my head gets so jacked up by it. Like, once we get to Revenge of the Sith, I'm fine with them both. It's just the Attack of the Clones one and Obi-Wan in Phantom Menace, where I'm just like, like,
I mean,
no.
Obi-Wan in Phantom Menace was still Ewan McGregor, even.
Yeah, it was. It was still Ewan McGregor. It's just he's younger. He's not a master yet. He's the Padawan, and then like, it's a whole mental
not allowed
thing.
to be James Arnold Taylor yet.
Yeah, it's just a whole mental thing. Like, they didn't do anything wrong. It's just my head.
No,
like, I just can't. I can't reconcile it. It's just so weird to me. And so it's like, all right, we're just gonna turn the voices off. We're gonna go with just the like actual visual comedy aspect of it to make it a Lego game again, and I'm so happy that option existed.
I'm glad the option exists, but Mumble Mode did not work for me. It just felt weird. I was like, there's just supposed to be voices here. This isn't made for the pantomime voicing and whatever. So I ended up turning the voices back on.
Yeah.
But
you definitely lose something, but yeah.
I get it both ways for sure. Overall, though, I had a blast just rocking through trying to find everything, and like again, especially in co-op, the ability to really split up and take care of things. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go do this. You take care of that, and then on my way to here, we'll meet here, and we'll get these along the way. And it's just like, I don't know, it's super fun to sort of optimize with somebody and go through and execute and try to get everything. So that sort of co-op experience for me was super fun because it was there's just a lot to do in that way. Like not having played the sequels, first of all, you realize how many planets are in the sequels. It's like there's so much of the galaxy map I haven't gone to still. And like I said, I haven't played Revenge of the Sith, so I haven't been to Utapau or uh, Mustafar. But even then, it feels like currently half the map's missing. So adding 2, there's still so many that are only in the sequels. I swear, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Jakku and Exegol and some other nameless planets that I don't remember, even though they name the name right in the corner every time.
It's the one thing that
Like
the
it's the
sequels
Star
did
Trek.
right was try to expand on the galaxy as a whole. Because I mean, you look at the original trilogy, and it's like, all right, you got Tatooine, Endor, and Hoth, and
If you get
Bespin.
Tatooine,
Hey, don't
and
be hating on
then
Cloud City.
I said Bespin.
oh yeah.
Did you? I missed that.
I said Bespin. It was just after. It was the last
I think
one.
I
I
was
almost
talking,
missed it, but
yeah.
I got it. And then it's like the prequels. It's like,
I
all
love-
right, let's go back to Tatooine. It's like, really? Okay. But then we got the expanded lore on Coruscant, which I still enjoy to this day. And then we got to see a bunch of other things through the Clone Wars, obviously. So Kashyyyk, Utapau, Mustafar. But even then, it's still not a lot. Like, the galaxy's huge, and we aren't seeing nearly as much of it as you would like. So that's the one thing I will praise about the sequels was just like, hey, we get to see more planets, even if they look the same. Jakku is just Tatooine 2.0, but that's okay. But
Kashyyyk and Endor are kind of the same too.
yeah, they really are. But just
where you get big bears or little bears.
Yeah, big bears, little
exactly.
bears. But just having the lore expanded upon to know that, like, just how expansive it is cool. So I mean, like the Hosnian system, even though it got blowed up in the first movie, like who cares? Like it's there, like the lore's there. That's something I personally appreciate. So, having all of that present in the game is cool as well.
I like how much they do try to showcase the lore in the Lego game too, even like down to like all of the like they have all the meme lines obviously from the movies, but then they even have like all of the meme lore pieces. Like they have what's his name, Ralfred Hood or whatever, the guy who was carrying the ice cream maker and on Bespin. They have a quest on Bespin for you to get him.
That's funny.
So you can add him to your party. Yet. So I mean, like there's all sorts of everything that you can get, and like there's the repeats missions like happen all the time where you're like you do this thing and it's the same thing that you did, but it's in a different spot. But the variety of those is enough that it makes repeating them all not that bad, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like it's not like there's only 3 or 4 or 5 different types of missions that repeat. There's like a dozen different types of missions that repeat, and then also some unique ones.
It's not Assassin's Creed 1 where you're repeating the same 3 missions.
Oh my gosh, where you repeat the same 3 missions, the same 2, 3 collectibles, and then go back and forth to the same 3 cities.
Every city's the same.
Yeah, they're the same with a different color palette.
If you clear the first city, you've beaten the game.
Yeah. Except
I
for the
love the
lore.
lore
where
of I love the lore of Assassin's Creed 1, man, but it is
you
brutal
watching
to
the
play.
YouTube video.
You just go watch a YouTube video for all the present time sections.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then play Assassin's Creed 2.
I still haven't beaten Assassin's Creed 2. I can't get through it.
It's
I pop it in and play for like an hour every year and make it a little bit further. And I'm still on my day one 2009 playthrough, not done. Put it in my cloud save, so I have it on my Series X and everything. Like I'm still whittling my way through it. But like
Well, on the plus side.
I've beaten 3, I've beaten 4. Like I don't like Ezio as a character enough that it just drives me nuts. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah, I was gonna say Lego Assassin's Creed soon.
You're gonna end up in a BuzzFeed article someday. It's like, man finishes 50-year playthrough of Assassin's Creed 2.
Oh my gosh, there we go. My claim to fame.
There you
My
go.
10-minute. I'll finally beat it when I turn 50. So I got like 13 years to go. Oh gosh, that's something to think about. Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, circling back to Lego, I don't think I have too much more to add other than good co-op experience. Probably a good experience overall, other than that, but obviously sort of co-op tinted glasses. Great time. Lots of things to do, and it's a great pick up and play thing. Oh, I've got an hour before I got to get ready to go to work. Do you want to free play a mission and then open world until we got to go? And then immediately, like it is, you're on the open world and you could just drop it. It's like, oh, I'm kind of close to this Rubric, but I only spent 20 seconds getting here. So because there's a million of them, so it doesn't take long to get any individual one of them. So it's just perfect to. That's why it kind of really does work on the Switch. Other than it is really atrocious to load. I've mentioned it a few times, but I think I need to nail home just, oh my gosh, how bad it was to try to load that game on Switch. Like I had a bad time. It was a bad time. Don't recommend. But
That's fair. And that's fair.
but as a pick up and play game, it's fantastic. So if you're somebody who's more patient that can wait through a million load screens, then maybe it's good as a pick up and play thing because it just works. It just works really well, and the missions aren't really long. So even if you have limited time, you can just bang through one of them. Or if you're really limited, just bang through a couple of overworld stuff, get a quest, and do that. Whatever. There's enough variety to make it interesting as far as I've played so far, which is admittedly not the whole game, but I think I've gotten my money's worth out of it now already. So I guess there's that too, you know?
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think this was worth it.
Definitely.
A lot of game here. That's the other thing.
I
Even
almost
without
feel
the
bad.
Kyber
I almost feel bad for Wiz only having played it in single player because I agree with your stance on co-op. I think this is a much better game in co-op than it would be in single player. Like I don't even want to try it in single player, to be honest.
That's fair.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't even know what it is necessarily because I've played several of the other Lego games in single player, but this one just somehow it was missing. Like it wasn't hitting on all pistons. So, I might have to needle my wife. Otherwise, I got to wait a few years for my kids to get older. But
Yeah.
get that multiplayer experience. My thing we haven't talked about yet that I wanted to tack on though is that you know what you get anytime you play a Star Wars game, at least, is more exposure to John Williams and his score. So
Yeah.
that's definitely a positive. You know, I always say John Williams is the true hero of Star Wars. Directors have let us down, writers have let us down, the studios let us down at different times. John Williams has never let us down.
He's only gotten better. Let's be honest, man.
True.
Like, as much
Some of the
as I
sequel
like
tracks.
the OG trilogy, it's like I'm sorry, outside of the original Star Wars theme and the Imperial March, it's like, dude, prequel and sequel music just blows everything away that the OG trilogy had.
There's a reason that like Phantom
Oh man,
Menace's
Duel of the
album is
Fates,
yeah.
freaking
Duel
Battle
of
of the
Fates.
Heroes, like, and even a lot of the background score is just like so much more in depth and like it doesn't feel as
It's almost like he
I
had
don't
20
know.
more years to perfect his
Yeah,
craft between
exactly,
the OG.
exactly. Like
And even then, like the
again,
sequels also really good. I think the
yeah.
prequels might overall be better music than the sequels, but not. It's not a huge margin like it is with a lot of other
No,
things with
it's
the
not. I
sequels.
mean, the music is definitely like one of the key highlights of the sequels, all the things they screwed up. But it's like you
Like the
listen to
Ray's
Kylo's
theme,
theme, Ray's theme,
Kylo's theme. It's like,
the First Order theme, like even like they sound sick. And it's
they're
like, man,
dope.
I wish the rest of the movie like lived up to what I'm hearing right now because like this is so good. And yeah,
You know, the funny thing is, you think there is that John Williams watched those movies without music, and he's like, I could water this down to kind of match the vibe, and he's like, nah, I'm going hard.
I'm gonna go extra
true
hard and make
professional,
it
man.
even more
True
obvious
professional.
how bad it is.
He's
Oh
like,
my
get to my
gosh.
level.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the
Elevate it
best
to
I can to
me.
save this.
Yeah, exactly.
Do everything I can to make it sound. It's I don't know. If you just want something on the screen with things to happen, with not pay attention at all, it's great background noise.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, we need to start doing like a movie one of these times too. Anyway, but yeah, Wiz, you got any more final thoughts for us on Lego?
No, I just really needed to make sure that we plugged John Williams before we hopped off this, because you can't play a Star Wars game and not talk about the score.
Nah, definitely
Yeah,
not.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess for me it's dig in for the long haul on the long grind for these ones. Grab a co-op partner to make it more enjoyable.
Oh yeah.
I do wish, like, as much content you get in the open world aspects of it with the side quests and all the different things like that, I do wish that the main missions didn't have to be sacrificed in their length and content to do it. Because, again, the universe of Star Wars is so big, you could sprinkle a lot of stuff still in it while having the main missions not be stripped, so to speak, compared to previous Lego Star Wars Complete Saga missions and versions of it. But the improved controls, the improved combat, the improved flight mechanics, like it's all really, really good. It's a ton of fun, but yeah, it's just if you have a completionist mindset, this one's gonna drive you bonkers. So I guess that would be my warning before diving in. But the game is constantly on sale these days. Like it was on sale throughout all of December. It went on sale again like a week ago, and you can get it for
Nice.
dirt cheap on every platform now. It's like I've been seeing it on Steam for $10 to $20. Xbox, it's been like $20. I haven't checked PlayStation, but I imagine it'd be pretty much the same. So you can get it really cheap very frequently, so you don't have to pay the full $60-$70 price tag for the deluxe edition and the standard edition. So I definitely say wait for a sale on it because of how frequently it does go on sale. But like you're gonna get a lot out of it if you are ready to dedicate the time. But
And
that's where I think I have to leave it.
yeah, it takes a lot of time if you want 100% it. If you're willing to just play through the story modes and then come back to it later, if you ever do want to briefly play, if you have the urge for it, it's really kind of a short game. Even doing some of the open world stuff in the middle, like if you short for what you would expect, I guess. There is still 9 movies to go through, but you could go through if you were playing just story and kind of streamlining yourself in the open world sections. You could probably get through a movie in like an evening of play in a co-op session pretty easily. So it's like 2 weeks or so if you just dedicate some evenings to it. You could finish it And honestly, even just doing that bare amount, you could probably get a good amount of the side stuff in 2 weeks. It's not gonna be 100% or close to 100%. There's some stuff like going back and forth between planets. Maybe you don't do that. There's some of the harder to get stuff or not less obvious stuff on the map. Maybe you don't get that. If you don't care about not getting that, you can have a great time. If you do care about getting all that, you could still have a great time, but you're going to invest a lot of the time into it. You're going to have a lot of great time, I guess, as it were. How about that?
It works. It works. All right. So,
Good game.
guess we'll go ahead and call it here for our January Game of the Month discussion, Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. But Wiz, Red, thank you so much again for joining me this month, as always.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for putting this on.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start putting some ideas out there for February's Game of the Month. So we'll see you all back here, same time, same place. More random discussion goodness. And again, you can join us in the Discord if you want to talk about the Game of the Month yourself as well. But till next time, y'all, keep playing games and we'll see you soon.
See you.